morning, precious family. This is Rick and welcome to Hope for Today. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's the 28th of February, 2023, and I'm just praying and trusting Jesus that it's going to be a glorious week of connection and relationship with you and Jesus today. As a reminder, guys, it is a special month at Hope for Today. It's
Make Jesus Famous Month and Hope for Today.
Today we are talking about three strategic areas that are on God's heart and therefore should be on our heart as well. That if we are about those things in our lives, we make Jesus Christ famous because these things are on his heart. And this week we're talking about all things children, all things kids. I'm reminded of the old school Billie Holiday song when she said, God bless a child that's got his own. That's God is on. Can I get a Billie Holiday witness? That didn't sound nothing like Billie. But anyways, we're talking about children. What does it mean for you to be sensitive to the needs of the younger people in your life, to be aware of what's going on in your children's hearts, to be the kind of parent who shows up for your children the same way Jesus shows up for you, the kind of citizen, the kind of believer who's always thinking about the youth of today? Because can I get a witness that the youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow? We're back in Mark chapter 10, where Jesus is bringing children towards him. And I want you to focus in on the word touch in verse 13. The Bible says, and they were bringing children to him that he might touch them, and the disciples rebuked them. And yesterday we talked about this comparison and contrast with the Jesus who wants to bring children towards him and followers of Jesus who wanted to move children away from them. And one of the lessons was this: whatever you do in this life, don't get in between Jesus and a child. Children are on God's heart, so they should be on our heart. Children are on God's mind, so they should be on our mind. And what I want you to focus in is how Jesus touched them. It's interesting here because the disciples are foolishly and ignorantly bringing the children away from Jesus. They think that Jesus is too important to humble himself and be around children. They think that Jesus is too, if you will, esteemed to humble himself down to their level. But the Bible says that Jesus was desirous to touch these children. Now, I don't think that touch here is in the way of healing, okay? In fact, it's more plausible that these kids weren't sick at all. My hunch, my hope is that had they been sick kids or deaf kids, right, or paralyzed kids, the disciples would have said, sure, you can come and see Jesus. I think they were perfectly healthy, but I think they were kids, and so the disciples were more apropos to move them out of the way. But notice Jesus, he was indignant towards them. They rebuked the kids, but Jesus rebuked them and said, bring the children unto me. And the last picture of our text is, and I love this, and excuse me if I get a little misty-eyed, but the picture is one of the king of the whole universe holding on to these babies and touching them. See, the idea of touch here was a visible means of conveying the blessing of God on children. And I think that's the metaphor I want you to take as we talk about children all this week. What does it mean for you to exemplify a visible expression of blessing upon the children in your world? It's a consumption country. It's a consumption state here in California. It's a consumption moment in this moment of history. But God is looking for some people who, like Jesus in the text, will allow themselves to be interrupted and allow whatever they were doing to stop so they can focus on the needs of the children around them. Consider the numbers. The numbers tell us that out of all human trafficking victims worldwide, children make up 27% of those victims. 71% of all parents say that the pandemic took a toll on the mental health of at least one of their children. As many as 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 10 boys are sexually abused by the age of 18. Little girls are 3 times as likely as boys to experience childhood sexual assault. My point is this: on our watch, this is happening in our neighborhoods. This is happening in our cities. This is happening in our world. And what it would mean for you to, like Jesus, allow yourself to stop whatever it is you're doing, to think through some ways that you can tangibly bless children and give them that blessing and that conveying of God's promises on their life. That's Hope for Today. I'll see you next time.